Hey everyone, Kelly here, and today I want to talk about the books I'm going to read in July. And we're a few days into July, but that's because I was trying to finish things that I had started earlier. So this is actually like the time when I will actually start new things, because I was trying to finish things up, which I have my June wrap up coming up soon, where you'll see I finished a lot of things that I had started earlier. So now my July reading is actually just about to start. And I have a few readathons I am participating in, and then some things that I just want to read for myself. So the first one is I was going to do Jane Austen July, and so I have about 4 things I want to read for that. And I will link their announcement video down below if you want to see kind of what it is, but it's just reading things Jane Austen or Jane Austen inspired. So the group read for that is Mansfield Park, which is the last of Jane Austen's novels that I have to read. So it was perfect that that's what they chose as their read along, like the one they're reading together and being able to discuss, so I can join that discussion hopefully and read my last of her novels. I've seen the movie, a couple movies, but I've never read Mansfield Park. And then for like adaptations, like current book adaptations, I was going to read this short story collection called Ladies in Waiting, Jane Austen's Unsung Characters. And this is just short stories by a lot of different authors that I think are about more of like, the side characters than the main sisters. And part of the reason I had this on my radar was one of the stories is by Emily Harding, and I had read one of her it was like a Pride and Prejudice retelling last year, I think, for Jane Austen in July, and I wanted to read more by her, and I think this just came out recently. Of course, the library only had a large print version, so I will read the very large print, but I think this is a more recent one. Yeah, this came out in 2025, so this is, a newer release that I was waiting for to read her short story, but I might as well just read them all. And I might not, if I find myself not enjoying it, I might just skip and read Emily Harding's one, and I have read an adaptation, I've read a short story. And then one of the prompts is to read nonfiction about Jane Austen or about the time period. And I had picked up last year Jane Austen's Bookshelf by Rebecca Romney, because a lot of people were reading this last year, and I thought it sounded really interesting. And this is kind of like looking into other women writers of the time that Jane Austen would have had like on her bookshelf or would have used as inspiration for her writing. And so that one is one I am interested to read this month. And the last one I'm doing for this readathon is to read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, because one of the prompts is to read something by one of Jane Austen's contemporaries, and they always recommend Frankenstein, and I've never read it. I bought it, I think, last year, so I would like to finally get around to reading Frankenstein. Some of the other prompts were about watching things, and I do want to watch, what is the one? Oh, The Other Bennet Sister. I had read that a few years ago for Jane Austen July, and I would like to watch that adaptation. So that is something that I plan to watch also this month. Then the other readathon I'm doing is the Ketchupathon, which is about reading your book of the month books, and I'll put their announcement down below. And I have, I think, 9 unread book of the month books, which is not bad, and I just picked out 3 randomly that I would like to read this month, and it's possible that I will substitute others in if I so feel like, but I picked some different genres. I picked a fantasy, a romance, and a like literary fiction, so I thought that would give me some different options. So the fantasy I picked up was The Wild Huntress by Emily Lloyd Jones, and this one is about a wild hunt, and we're following like 3 different characters, a trickster, a prince, and a wild huntress, as they band together against the monstrous creatures within the woods. So I've heard good things about Emily Lloyd Jones and always wanted to read one of her books. And then I picked up the romance I got was The Misconnection by Tia Williams. I had read 7 Days in June by this author, and I wanted to read other books by her, so I picked this one up, I think, just in my last month. Yeah, this was a June selection. So I just picked it up and would like to go ahead and read that. And then I have Cursed Daughters by Olyanka Braithwaite. Was so looking forward to this because I loved My Sister the Serial Killer, and I just haven't picked this up, even though this came out in November of 2025. So hopefully this month I will get to that, and I think it's like about generational trauma and family and all that. And then the last category is my like history related books, and I've been doing my kind of own like kind of history learning. I've been following a curriculum that is meant for like homeschool, like high school homeschool, and I've been following it because I've been really enjoying like learning stuff that I always thought I hated history, and it turns out I just didn't like the way people taught me history. And this is much more like anthropology based than just straight boring history. And to supplement that, I usually read some fiction books that kind of relate to the mythologies or the history that I'm learning about. And right now I just finished learning about ancient India, and now I'm on to ancient China, so these are related to that. I picked up the Mahabharata, the shortened version of that, because the real epic poem is humongous, and so I just wanted to pick up a shorter version to learn a little more about this epic poem from ancient India. And then I also had many years ago bought The Palace of Illusions by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, and this is a retelling of that poem, but I think it's like one of the female characters isn't usually like the main character, and she has become the main character in this retelling. So I thought if I read the shortened version of the poem and then read this adaptation. And then for ancient China, I have a couple. I picked up The Gate, the Girl, and the Dragon by Grace Lind. All of her fantasy books involve Chinese mythology in them, so I'm assuming that this one will be like the other ones that I have read and by her, so I'm looking forward to that. And then I have The Magnolia Sword, A Ballad of Mulan by Sherry Thomas. So those are the 4 that are kind of my history-based fiction to read. So that's it. Those are the things that I think I'm going to be reading in July, or at least attempting to read in July. We'll see how much I get to. We are going on family vacation this week, and last year I got a lot read. It was also the Ketchupathon last year at this time when I went to family vacation, and I read several books in the month while I was on vacation. So maybe I will get a lot of this done while I'm there as well. So that's it for me. If you've read any of these, I'd love to hear if you think I should prioritize certain ones, and I'll see you next time. Bye.